Hi YouTube, I'm Angie. I'm back again. Today should go a little bit more smoothly because I have a list of things that I'm going to talk about and go through. So hopefully it'll be a lot less like here and there and than the past couple times. So today my main focus is going to be talking about my third issue, which is borderline personality disorder. Which I just this year found out, past couple months actually, I found out that I've had, and it kind of put all the puzzle pieces of my life together and everything I've been dealing with since I was a child. Quick recap from the past couple videos. I make vlogs or video diaries or whatever you like to call them about my problems. I'm seeking community, people who need someone to talk to, or people who need to see that there's other people in the world that have these issues, these disorders. Along with, myself, I'm trying to find other people to subscribe to and videos and stuff to make to, like I said, find that community and bring people together so we all have someone to talk to, and always constantly, whether we're giving out our numbers, which probably shouldn't do over the internet, and or finding each other's YouTubes or Tumblrs or Facebooks or something, and just, talking to each other, giving us that support that we need, because I know I'm not the only person with a million different issues that I need support and community on. As I promised, I promised in my last video about depression that when I wore shorts in one of my videos that I would show pictures of the cuts on my legs, because I only got around to showing the ones on my arms and hips. So I'll show you that. I also said that I would show you how skinny I am. Can you hear me? My microphone's down here. These are my legs, of course. I don't know whose else they would be. These are the cuts and scars all over my legs, all over here. I don't know how well you can see them on the webcam. Anyways, that's it. Oh, I said I would show. This is my stomach right now. I'm still at about 100 pounds. So, let's get on with it. First thing on borderline is a book that my mom gave me that we're reading right now. It's called Buddha and the Borderline. It's probably backwards on there. I doubt you can see it. But yeah, Buddha, like the religion. It's not a religious book or anything like that. It just, it's a memoir. It's her recovery from borderline personality disorder through behavioral therapy and Buddhism. First, let me find this page. I'll tell you a little bit about borderline personality disorder, the symptoms or patterns that you would recognize in someone with borderline, as myself. Borderline, what exactly it is a pattern of instability between relationships, self-image, and impulsive acts by early adulthood. The first is frantic efforts to avoid real or imagined abandonment. An example of this in my life is, God, I'm so afraid of abandonment. I have huge abandonment issues with my family, with my father. I have 2 older brothers, and I was always kind of like, looked lower upon. My family didn't really know how to deal with a little girl in the family after dealing with 2 boys for, however many years before me. When it comes to relationships and stuff, I cling so hard and so fast that even after just being with someone for a week or a couple days, if they break up with me, I'm done. I'm heartbroken. My life is over. I'm cutting. I'm crying. I'm trying to kill myself because I found someone to latch onto and forget all my problems with, and that's something I have a big problem with. Number 2 is a pattern of unstable and intense relationships, whether that means family or boyfriend, girlfriend, stuff like that, altering between extremes of idealization and devaluation, meaning we as attachment, extreme attachment or abandonment, the opposite is attachment, which is another problem. And we tend to, like I said, grab onto people very, very fast and cling to them to try to forget how we're feeling and everything that's wrong or that we think is wrong, to an extreme where we take these people, our family, our friends, and we get so close to them, and we have best friends, and the second we meet this person, we're like, oh, I love you, we're gonna be best friends forever. And then seconds later, or you could hang out for a week straight, all day, every day, and just like that, blink of an eye, snap of a finger, you're devaluing. You go from this huge, like, I love you, we're always gonna be friends, to, oh my god, this person hates me, I hate myself, why would this person want to be friends with me, I'm sick of you, I want nothing to do with you, god, you're so annoying. And then maybe a week later you're like, oh, I love you again, blah blah. And so that's what that means. The third one is identity disturbance, unstable self-image or sense of self. That is probably the main issue with most borderlines, because that's it. You feel like nothing. Like, we are nothing because of the depression we go through. You feel completely alone in it. It's not, it doesn't show up a lot. I don't have any friends that have borderline personality disorder. So you feel really alone, and you don't feel like anyone understands you. And that's when the depression comes in, the cutting, the suicidalness, the eating disorders. Number 4 is impulsivity, which is like impulsive behaviors, things that you do that you can't control. Not like or OCD or Tourette's or something like that, but more along the lines of, example given says money spending. That's a huge problem with me. I cannot save money for the life of me. The second I have it, I have to find something to spend it on. Sexual activity, that was a pretty big one for me when I was younger. Just hopping around from person to person, giving myself away really easily. Never like hooking up. Every time I was with someone, it was always because I wanted to be with that person. I never had sex with someone because I was just drunk or just wanted to or anything like that. It was always, like out of that attachment. Like, I wanted to be with that person, so I gave myself to them. Substance abuse, that was a huge one. I have had a drug problem. I've had an alcohol problem. I'll talk about those in other videos. Those don't need to be talked about in this one. It's not necessarily what it's about. Reckless driving, yeah, I'm a huge speeder. Love speeding. And binge eating, which is like uncontrollably eating mass amounts of food, which is actually a kind of eating disorder. It's like called a not otherwise specified or whatever. I'll get more into that after this. Number 5 says reoccurrent suicidal behavior, gestures, or threats as of self-mutilating behavior, which are all things that I have and most borderlines have. I talked about it in my depression video that I have had many suicide attempts. I've tried to kill myself many times. I've shown, the cuts all over my arms and legs and hips. And it's things that I can't control. I feel alone without those things. It's hard to understand, unless you have this disorder, which doesn't really help with this video. I'm trying really hard to help people, if you're watching this trying to understand borderline. That's what I'm trying to do, but I'm not very good at explaining. Number 6, anxiety, usually lasting a few hours and rarely a few days. That's a huge thing for me, the anxiety or irritability. And it lasts for days, and you can't control it, and it doesn't go away, and everything. It's like RLS, restless leg syndrome. You're constantly like having to move around and touch things and do things with your hands, and you're sitting at a stoplight in your car and you can't stand it because you just want to go, and you're 2 blocks away from your house, but that 2 blocks, the whole drive there feels like an hour because you're just so anxious to do everything. So that's an example of that. Number 7, chronic feelings of emptiness. I kind of went over that one before a little bit. I don't know why that's in its own category. It kind of goes in with like the depression and stuff. You feel useless. I'm supposed to be on medication for this, which I'm not. I got off. I'll go into that a little bit later as well. I talked a little the last couple times, in the last 2 videos, about my blog that I have on Tumblr. It's Skinny Angie, no, that's wrong. Don't, SKINNYYANGIEE. And it basically shows, like, the crazy, intense thoughts and everything that goes through my mind, like that emptiness, that deep emptiness, that deep depression, that just, I mean, it was crazy when I found that community on Tumblr of people with borderline and eating disorders and stuff like that. It was crazy, like, how spot on everything that they were talking about versus what I was talking about was. I just felt I didn't feel so empty and alone. And so if you have that feeling, I really, really suggest making a Tumblr. If you don't know what Tumblr is, it's just like a giant blog site, but I really suggest making a Tumblr and connecting with people on there, because the community is huge. Thousands of people. I have thousands of followers. I'm following thousands of people. It's huge, and you feel so much better about it. You wouldn't think that posting pictures and stuff about how you're feeling about the crazy depression and what's going on in your life, you wouldn't really think that would help. You'd think, like, maybe that would make it worse. But no, the truth is, it gets it off your chest, and you know that everyone that you're following or that is following you, you know they understand, and so it helps. It just helps you feel, it helps you piece the pieces back together. It makes you feel a lot less lonely. 1 second. Okay, so the last 2 is inappropriate, intense anger, and difficulty controlling anger. That is, again, a huge thing for me. I've gotten a lot of fights, a lot of physical fights, not with friends and stuff, more so with family, and not in an abusive manner. I've never had an abusive family. I spoke about it in my last video. I have a great family, probably, upper middle class, not high class, but but I have a great family, a great home life. I could never blame them for everything, and that's when we realized something was wrong with me, when it was like, I have a great family life, what's so wrong with me? Anyways, with anger, me and my dad we'd get in fist fights, we'd take each other on the floor sometimes, not like legitimately like bam bam bam, but like he'd have to hold me down because I would go crazy and I'd scream and I'd try to leave, and he couldn't control me, and that's how I get still. Someone says something stupid and something in me just ticks on, and like I can't control all the things. I'm yelling at them and calling them stupid and doing all this stuff, and then I have to go back and apologize and I'm sorry, and anger's a really big one for me, especially because I have a really big I have really low self-esteem, but I think I'm better than basically everyone around me, and so I have a huge ego, no self-esteem, high ego, just mentally, like smarts wise and street smarts and how I read people and empathy wise, I end up getting really cocky about that kind of stuff. Anyway, so the last is number 9, stress-related paranoid ideation and severe dissociative symptoms. I'm not even going to bother really going into that much because that one's not a big problem with me. So if that is with you and you want to know more about it, feel free to message me or something. Anyways, so that's basically borderline personality disorder. I gave a lot of examples of it in my life, which was on my list to do after I read everything, but I just kind of did it all together. How I deal with it, like I said before with Tumblr, another one is gratitude lists. I had to do these in AA a lot. You basically make a list of anything you're grateful for. It can be the sun, it can be your boyfriend or girlfriend, it can be having a nice bed to sleep in, or having a heater in your house, or having a friend, or having a parent alive, or at least one parent alive, or having someone taking care of you, anything that you are legitimately grateful for in your life, write it down on a list, or write it down in a diary every single night. If you have a diary, if you write every night, or do something like this, you can do that. You can make a video and say, these are the things I'm grateful for, and read off your list. Another way that I do a gratitude list is, well, it doesn't work with everyone. I guess it worked mostly when I was in AA, but you can do it with anything. You do what you used to be like, what happened, and what you're like now. And this is more for if you're going through some kind of recovery or training or sobriety or something like that. But you can do it with borderline if you're getting treatment for it or taking medication. So an example would be what I used to be like, depressed, unhappy, suicidal, uncaring, rude, angry all the time, just, simple stuff like that. And then in the next category, you would do what happened. And you would put treatment, maybe you made friends, you could put making friends, therapy, changes in mood, stuff that happened that resulted in the change. And then in the last category is what I'm like now. And that's basically a category of gratitude, where you're saying, this is how I am now, and this is how I used to be, but this is how I am now, and now I'm happy, I can think straight, I have lots of friends, I've found love, I can accept love, I can apologize, I'm nicer, anything like that. And then I make a fourth category called how I want to be. And in that category, I put things that I'm not feeling yet that I want to feel, like contentment. I want to be content in my skin and who I am, and not dealing with an eating disorder or, stuff like that. Another one was happy. It's really hard to be completely and truly happy, and there were a lot of things on that list, but I'm not going to go into all of that. But that's just an idea of how you can bring yourself up when you're feeling so down in your borderline, or even in your depression or alcoholism or drug addiction or anything like that. A gratitude list really, really helps you bring yourself back up and realize, wow, I have a lot to a lot to look forward to in life, a lot that I've done, a lot to be grateful for and happy about. So that's an example of how I deal with it. I talked about Tumblr a couple times, sorry. And well, I'm supposed to be taking medication. They had me on antipsychotics, which I really don't recommend unless you have I guess just not if you're like super thin, because they are really, really strong. They're one of the few drugs that kicks in immediately and just turns you into a vegetable. 1 second you're like, oh, I feel good, I feel fine, then you take your pill and 20 minutes later you're like unable to move, unable to get off the couch, and that's RLS, restless leg syndrome, gets really, really bad again. And so I don't recommend antipsychotics, but on the other hand, they do make you feel better mentally. Like, you don't feel like you're dealing with borderline, you don't feel like you're dealing with the suicidal tendencies or depression. It literally takes it all away so fast that you can't believe it, but it does sort of depress you for a while, because you realize how lazy you are, and you're sleeping all day, and you can't control anything, you can't move. So I got off of antipsychotics and I got put on Prozac, but as someone with an eating disorder, Prozac kind of made me gain weight and messed with me really emotionally really bad. But of course, you can't take my recommendation for that. All drugs are different for everyone. So let's see. Another thing about borderline is, I'm not sure, because like I said, I haven't met a lot of people with borderline, but from what I've read on my Tumblr and what I've read about it online and stuff, is that I'm not the only person that you really can't have a job. Well, you can. It's not an excuse like, oh, I just want to, have fun and do nothing and I don't have to work because I have borderline personality disorder. But you can work, but it's more of the fact that you have to have something really simple. It can't be, well, for example, recently I got a job at Papa John's where I'm not working anymore. I did resign from there. It was a little bit too much work and stuff for me, and I wasn't catching on very quickly because of the borderline. But so working there, you have to learn the cash register, you have to learn how to clean, you have to learn how to drive, you have to learn how to make pizzas, you have to learn how to tend the oven, you have to learn how to do all the upfront stuff and phone calls and stuff like that. And for someone with borderline where you have a hard time with stress, piling things on top like that, it didn't work. It doesn't work at all because you can't handle that doing all that for 8 hours a day or whatever. And it was just kind of, the training was like having to just learn way too much, way too fast. And if they had been able to take a second to be like, okay, for 1 week we're going to teach you oven tending, for 1 week we're going to teach you pizza making, for 1 week we're going to teach you blah blah blah, and so on and so forth, then I probably would have been able to do it because they would have like the proper training time, and I'd be able to learn one specific thing. But the problem was more of the fact that they were trying to train me everything all at once and having to learn everything and only giving me 1 day to learn each. So I mean that definitely didn't work out very well, but you can work, as much as most people hate it. I always really liked working in fast food and stuff like that, where you just learn one basic thing. You learn, up front, you learn cash register, taking people's food out, and like cleaning, and that's the only thing you really need to know when you're doing that. And it's really simple and it makes it easy. And the main thing I wanted to talk about borderline is self-image, which I actually guess I already talked about a lot, so this video is not going to be much longer, but there's always like a huge change in self-image where 1 second you're like, you look at the way someone's dressing and you're like, oh, I want to dress like that, and so you start dressing like, say, Avril Lavigne. You start dressing all punky and cool, and you change your hair and you change your style and your clothes and the way you act and the way you walk and the way you talk, and then the next second you see some super girly girl on the street dressed in like expensive buckle jeans and lucky shirts and all this stuff, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, that looks really cool, I want to be like that. And so you change your whole style, and all of a sudden next thing you know you're dressing as like a preppy bitch, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's not me, and you go back to kind of dressing out yourself. Like right now I'm just kind of me with flannel shirts and tank tops and simple necklaces and stuff, but then again all of a sudden you might see some cowgirl or girl dressed with like cowboy boots and really cute clothing and horse riding and stuff, and you're like, oh, I want to do that, and so you change your whole personality and filter into what that is, and you do that all the time, and it might last months and sometimes it lasts weeks or days. But that's a big thing that I struggle with, is constantly changing who I am to where I have a really hard time talking about myself and figuring out who I really am deep down inside, because you just kind of lose it. You get lost in, I want to be this person. I don't want to be myself because I don't know who I am, so I'm just going to be this person now, and now I'm going to be this person, and now I'm going to be this person. Another thing, the last thing that I want to talk about is like a huge loss in friendship and stuff like that since I've discovered the borderline. When I went to the mental hospital is when I discovered it, but a couple months before, me and my family had been talking about the fact that I could have borderline, and we're thinking about it through my whole life and looking at things like what to expect in a child, what to expect in an adolescent, what to expect in an adult, and it was completely, like I said before, it was completely spot on, and so I started seeing therapists and stuff. Anyways, unimportant, completely rabbit trail. I found myself with a huge loss of friends because of my need to, like I said, attach to people really quickly and blurt out too much about my life, probably like I'm doing here. But the difference being I'll meet someone and immediately like make a joke about my eating disorder to get it out there because I have this fear of abandonment like most borderlines have. And a huge one is a couple of months ago I was at this pool hall and I met this really cool girl and I was talking to her and made some eating disorder joke or, nonchalantly brought it up or not. And I always constantly am wearing shorts and tank tops so people already see the cut scars, and it's not because of tension, and that's what it comes off as. And I guess a lot of borderlines have the same issue where we're so open because we'd rather it all be out in the open and people see it and know it the second they meet us, and that way they can say like, oh, you're a freak, I'm gonna go, and it won't hurt. Because when you meet someone, for a day and they're like, oh, you're a freak and I don't want to hang out with you, it doesn't hurt as bad losing them as if you get really close to them and then let out all of your issues and anger and tell them about stuff, and then what if they leave and it's like, oh great, we're great friends and now I've lost this great friend and I'm heartbroken and I'm never going to find anything like that again, which isn't true, but that's how it feels. And so as a clarification, that's why a lot of people with borderline don't have a lot of friends, is because a lot of times people see us as wanting extreme attention for all of our issues and problems, when it's really that we just want them to be known. We want them to be known, and we want you to understand that we have them, so that you can either leave or you can stay, and it's entirely your decision whether you leave or stay. I guess I don't really have much more to say on it today. My next video is most likely going to be about addiction, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, stuff like that. To finish off, I would like to say that I really enjoy making these vlog videos. I've already had a ton of responses, not a lot of views, but for as many views as I have a surprising amount of messages and responses and stuff. So, yes, I'm going to be making videos on progress with all of these things, so some of them might get a little bit repetitive sometimes, but progress, when there is progress to share, I'm going to be making videos, like what with weight gain or eating disorder treatment or recovery and stuff. And again, I'm no therapist. I'm just some 20-year-old in California, and don't take this as I'm telling you to do this stuff or this is how it is and only the way it is, because everyone is different. I'm not a licensed therapist. I'm not even going to college. I dropped out of high school. I don't treat me like a therapist, please, because I don't want to get in trouble or anything like that for someone making bad decisions and then thinking that, reading what I was saying wrong. Anyway, so I have another YouTube account. I make music, and a Facebook account if you wouldn't mind going and listening to stuff. I have a band, and it's called Angie and the Invisibles. I've had it for a while. We used to be called Fresh Squid, but that makes me sound schizophrenic because it's just me. It's just me and my guitar. So, if you would go on Facebook and like that, or subscribe to it on YouTube. I had to write backwards, so excuse the bad handwriting, but like I said, Angie and the Invisibles. It's basically covers and original songs, mostly original songs, I think, actually. It's something I'm really cocky about, is my songwriting and singing and stuff like that. In most of the videos, it's not very good because I get really nervous as I record. But, so yeah, if you would want to go and check that out, that'd be really, really rad. I'd love that. Anyways, I am going to sign off of this now. So I hope you... Oh my gosh, my hair is ridiculous today. I hope you enjoyed the video or learned something, and if you have any questions or want to talk about something or want to make a response video or want to tell me I'm wrong or something, feel more than welcome to. I'm doing this, like I said, to help get things off my chest, to find community, find people with understanding who need help, or I myself need help. I'm not just trying to do this to help other people. I'm doing this to help myself because this really helps me get things off my chest. So, yeah, leave a comment. Tell me what you think. If you have borderline and want to talk about something, or eating disorder, depression, alcohol abuse, substance abuse, anything like that, just let me know. My name's Angie. I'm just a normal girl. So, Angie out.